micromanagement usually isn't about control. It's about fear. Fear that if you let go, things will fall apart. But here's the hard truth. Holding on too tightly can create exactly what you're trying to avoid. Most leaders don't set out to micromanage. They're trying to protect outcomes. But in doing so, they undermine ownership, trust, and creativity within their teams. Micromanagement feels like leadership in the moment, but it almost always leads to a sense of disempowerment for their team. Dawn, talk to us.
Yeah, this issue of micromanagement is such a common issue we see, not only with leaders recognizing or sensing that frustration that they don't know how to multiply themselves, but I'm I'm sure all of our listeners have had experiences with a leader who micromanages,
Yeah.
and it is such a common trap. I think I would just love to hear from you. How do we pull back the layers? Like, what's actually happening underneath the surface so that we as leaders can break this cycle?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I want our dear listeners to understand that we all are guilty at times of micromanagement. It's not only just in the workplace, but we can micromanage in our household. We can micromanage our spouses, our kids, extended family members, our aging parents.
Oh,
You can find that we're micromanaging our friendship group. I know that, I've got some friends who are regularly scheduling rounds of golf for guys in our club, and they can fall into the micromanagement trap. So micromanagement essentially is what we fall into when we're afraid that other people won't step up or be able to do something as good as we can do it or we think it should be done. But like you said, it's a trap. So at its core, micromanagement comes from a lack of trust, either in others or in our own ability to lead through delegation. And leaders often say they're not ready. My team isn't ready, or it's just easier if I do it.
oh, we've heard that one.
Well, 100 times at least. But what they're really saying, what we're really saying in these moments is, I'm not ready to let go. Bam. If you're the only person who can do it right, then you'll be stuck doing it forever.
Woo! And that is what I always say to myself, to people that we're coaching, is like, yes, initially the process of bringing somebody in to do something at your radical minimum standard feels like a heavy lift. But the trade-off is flexibility. It's getting your time back, right? It's seeing other people excel at doing something that you thought only you can do. And it is possible. So what does healthy delegation look like? How do we avoid micromanagement and do healthy delegation in kind of the midst of a high trust culture? Because that's where we see it happen most effectively.
Yeah. 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 Well, let me start by saying this. For any of us who have raised kids or are currently raising kids, and I'm not sure that it ever really stops the job.
Wow. Well, like,
We raise kids, and then we raise teenagers, and then we raise young adults, and then we raise adults. But anyway, we all know what's at stake in the importance as leaders of delegation. Like, think about it. Like, we know that we need to teach our kids how to wipe their own rear ends and clean themselves up in the restroom because we don't want to be doing that for them when they're 16 years old or 26 years old.
yeah.
Right? We have to teach them how to clean their bedrooms. Otherwise, we're going to be the ones always cleaning their bedrooms. And let me just say this to our listeners. If you're cleaning your kids' bedrooms and they're over the age of about 10,
Stop it.
Stop it. No, I wouldn't say, you can say stop it because you're a mom. I'm going to be gentle and say, stop it. If my wife were here, she would say, stop it. But like, think of the number of things that we are required to train, to partner with our kids, to develop these different skill sets so that not only can they step into a greater sense of personal responsibility and maturity, so they can become greater contributors to the household system, but so that we as leaders can create margin to invest our time and energy into new areas, right? And now we can lay those same principles over into the workplace. Like the
Yep.
number of leaders we've worked with, and when you're saying like, man, you're carrying too heavy of a load. Why are you taking care of all these things? You have a team of people. How have you not delegated these things? Well, this person struggled when I first tried to teach them, and this person, is still struggling to learn something else, and this person, and then when you kind of really start to peel back the layers, what you discover is it's oftentimes driven, highly competent, intelligent leaders who struggle to delegate the most. Why? Because their greatest fear is that it won't get done right or
Right.
to the standard that they have set.
Yes.
And the problem with that is we run into the same challenge in the workplace as we do in our households, that we end up doing these things forever, which both limits the growth opportunity for our team members, but also limits our ability to now create the bandwidth and margin to take on new things. And so people get stuck in plateau when they micromanage, and everybody loses, right? So and then we're going to come back with some practical examples, because I really want to hear some of the stuff from your family you're going to share. So a few simple thoughts that we've been practicing to help us move beyond micromanagement. Number one, we as leaders in any area of life have to recognize not only the importance, but our responsibility in delegating tasks, roles, responsibilities to others on our team,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just like in parenting, we have to identify like, hey, what are the things I need to, delegate? I need to train my kids to do so that they can take on those responsibilities. We have to have that same amount of diligence in the workplace to ask those hard questions. And then we as leaders have to choose what I would call an uncomfortable pathway. We have a tool called the Empower Matrix, which basically just helps us understand that if we want to move beyond micromanagement, we need to set a clear vision or expectation for what we want any of our team members to learn. And it could be the simplest of tasks all the way up to a whole new role, responsibility, position, whatever it is within the organization. So that's the first thing. We have to set a clear vision. Hey, honey, we want you to learn how to use the potty and not use your diaper anymore. Hey, honey, we want you to learn how to pick up after yourself in your bedroom and clean your bed and make your bed. Hey, honey, we need you to learn how to set the table. Hey, we need you to learn how to take out the trash. Hey, we need you to learn how to drive a car. And I've told the story a million times, but both of my kids, different generation. When I was young, man, we couldn't wait till we turned 16. On your birthday, you were at the DMV or whatever we call it in the country, and you were testing for your driver's license, because that represented freedom and liberty and independence. And both of my kids, different generation, they got all the social medias and, Snapchat and DMs, so they can communicate much more easy than we could when we were young. But man, both of my kids, we had to require them that they got their driver's license by the time they were 18. Right. And so we've got to take the responsibility as leaders of identifying those areas that we want our team members to grow in and develop.
Okay. Can I make a confession?
Please.
I don't think I've ever told you this before, Eric.
Hey, this is real time, real chat. We need like special music that kind of brings us into
I didn't get my license until I was 19.
You have officially been removed from the are you a millennial or a Gen X?
I'm a millennial.
Oh, that explains everything.
But also, I started dating my now husband. I started dating Drew in high school, and he literally just drove us everywhere. So I never had that that drive, right? Like I was getting the benefit of it without actually having to do the work. So
yeah, well, I know your husband a little bit, and if I was connected to him, I would let him do everything for me anyways, because the guy knows what he's doing. It's just like easier to let Drew do it.
oh, that
Maybe Drew needs to listen to this. Maybe he's micromanaging a little bit, and you're
Drew. The stories I could tell about Drew, he loves a thing done right.
100%. We all do in our respective areas.
Yeah.
So going back to this uncomfortable pathway, we've got to first, number one, set a clear vision expectation of, okay, I want you to learn this. And then number two, we've got to be willing to provide what I would call a pathway with bumpers on either side. And we call these bumpers the calibration of support and challenge.
Yeah.
Right. What we mean by support and challenge, really simple. Support is what we all think of, which is encouragement, nurture, care, concern, time, energy, resources, partnership. It's coming alongside of people and trying to provide for them what they need to give them the best chance to meet the challenge. Now let's talk about challenge. The challenge is, what is this new thing I'm trying to learn or grow in or develop in? Right. Which means I'm moving beyond my comfort zone, which means I'm going to feel a little disorientation, which means I'm going to have to struggle, fumble, bumble my way into this new area of learning. Right. But challenge also comes with accountability. So when we provide these two energies as leaders for our team members, right, what we do is we're creating the bumpers. Like when we take our kids bowling when they're young, and we ask the person working in the bowling alley, can you raise the bumpers on either side of the lane to give the kids the best chance of keeping the ball in the lane and hitting some pins? Otherwise, let's be honest, the ball would be in the gutter every
time.
So we're not trying to be condescending or pedantic here. It's just an imagery to help us understand as leaders. We have to provide those bumpers. The way we provide those bumpers on the other side is by providing support and challenge in a healthy measure, or we can think of these like the gas and brake pedal in the car. If it's all gas, we're just going to run into stuff and then we don't drive anymore. If it's all brake, we never go anywhere in the first place. We have to learn a kind of continual, intentional calibration of both the gas and brake, both support and challenge, that give our team members, our kids, our whoever we're investing in, the best chance of staying in what we call that growth lane. Right? They're clear about what they're fighting for. They're clear about their accountability. They're clear about the expectations. But we're also providing them support, care, nurture, encouragement, resources they need to have the best chance of growing into this. And as a matter of fact, for our listeners, I mean, if we think back to the most empowering people in our life, it could have been parents, it could have been teachers, coaches, mentors, professors, whatever.
Yeah.
An older sibling. We can look back and probably identify how those persons provided support and challenge for us that created an environment that gave us the best chance of getting the breakthroughs we need to grow in a new area and to find new areas of success and development. Right. So that's the beautiful. And call it an uncomfortable pathway, because as leaders, we're tempted to think, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have time to come and babysit you and help you learn something new. Gosh, what am I paying you for? Wasn't this a part of your original job role and responsibility? Or aren't you smarter than this? Or you're an adult, I don't need to handhold you. The truth is, for us to grow in any area as leaders, we're going to need support and challenge to stay in that lane, and the people that we're leading, for them to grow and develop in any area. But if we're not willing to partner people on our teams with support and challenge that's moving toward a clear vision or expectation, then it's likely that they will sputter and eventually stagnate and plateau. And then where are we at as leaders? Now we're stuck doing the thing that we wanted to delegate forever and ever. And so it takes time, it takes energy, it takes commitment, it takes patience as people stumble their way into these new areas of growth. But here's what's on the other side. This is the part I want us to hear. And I have to remind myself of this all the time. Every time I step into trying to train somebody in something new, even with my clients, I have to wrestle with this. What's on the other side of empowering people so that we can delegate out these roles and responsibilities? What's on the other side is two things. Well, three things. Number one, we've just empowered somebody to do something they couldn't do before.
Yeah.
And that is one of the core responsibilities for us as leaders, is operating with a developmental mindset for those within our midst. Number two, it now creates margin for us as we delegate away tasks, roles, responsibilities, to now free up space for ourselves to begin to engage in new areas that we before could not.
That's right.
Number three, and this is one of my favorite, and this is the way I'm going to say this. One of my favorite things in all of my leadership experience is as I'm working with our own coaches or training people, certifying people as coaches and working with our team, and we're at a training event, we're on a coaching call, and I start to say, hey, you're going to take on this responsibility this time. I want you to do this part of the teaching. I want you to do this part of the coaching. I want you to handle this area of whatever it is we're doing. And as I provide support and challenge, and as they start to develop their confidence in this particular area, what I often find is they actually do it better than I do. My fear before was they're not going to do it as good as me, or people are going to be upset because Eric Pfeiffer didn't do it.
Yeah.
But what I find more often than not, and it's the greatest compliment I can ever get as a leader and as a coach, is, hey, Eric, we love when you're doing this, but man, we really enjoy it more when one of your other coaches does this because of their personality, because of the way they communicate, because of the unique innovations and twists they put on whatever it is that they're delivering on. And what I've discovered is if I support and challenge and give this person the best of what I have, now they have that, but then they can add to it the best of whatever they bring to the table.
That's right.
And what's amazing in the developmental kind of mindset, 1 + 1 does not equal 2. 1 + 1 = 10. It's an unbelievable thing, right? That we experience over and over and over again. And if I didn't have those data points, I wouldn't be so emphatic about this. So anyways, let me pause there, Doug, because I know I've said a lot. I'm just kind of trying to set up for ourselves, for our listeners, what does it look like for us to move beyond micromanagement, and what's a simple, doable pathway to begin to empower the people around us so that everybody wins?
Yeah. I think that support and challenge is so important in this process that I will say, if you are trying to delegate something and it is not going well, you can go back and take a look at those 2 bumpers and see where you are miscalibrating, right? Because if you're all challenge, then you're just creating a stressed environment where people don't know how to do what they need to do, but they also don't feel comfortable asking for your help.
Right.
And if you're too much support and not enough challenge, then they actually never grow. They just are comfortable staying where they're at. And so if you are in the midst of a delegation process at home with a team member and you're feeling frustrated,
Yeah.
I would say it's probably one of those things is the culprit there.
Mhm.
Other possibility is that you didn't cast a clear enough vision. The vision wasn't motivating enough. And so if you go back to one of those 3, you're going to probably find some new energy in this delegation process for your team.
100%. I mean, I even think, in one of our other episodes, you brought up a great example of a moment where you and I had to have this kind of sit down, tough conversation about how we were engaging in the areas where, in particular, I was engaging you unhelpfully. And what's interesting when I think back to that journey, my tendency as a leader is when people come onto my team, it's like all support. Hey, you figure it out. It's great. Hey, I'm here if you need me. And very, very little challenge, very not clarifying expectations, not clarifying what I want the responsibilities to be. That's just not my strength. And so what happens is people feel cared for. They feel like, man, Eric's available. He wants to chat with me anytime. He's always wanting to connect. He's wanting to partner with me. But people would feel a little aimless and feel like I'm not really sure. And then when I didn't feel confident because I wasn't really engaged in what was going on, like the deliverables, the results, the outcomes of different team members, then I would go from all support to all challenge. And then I would have these really intense conversations around do you really think you're bringing the value of what I'm paying you in this company? True story.
That actually happened.
Yeah, it did happen. I'm sorry. I'm on my own growth journey, but and that happened multiple times with you and other people like Aura on our team and others, where I would just flip flop because what I wasn't doing was I wasn't clarifying, hey, what are the expectations for these team members? Now, how do I provide both support and challenge? And I'll add this, that it's not a one-time thing. like we have to regularly review with the people that we're partnering.
That's key. That's key.
Yeah, because we call it, some people call it accountability. What I call it is partnership, right? We're not here to police people. We're here to partner them, but we have to have these kind of frequent review opportunities. How are things going? What's working? What's not working? Can I help you in some way? Are you unclear about something? And as a leader, it gives me an opportunity in those sometimes very brief conversations to point things out. Like, hey, number one, maybe I need to give you kudos. Maybe I need to encourage you or compliment you or affirm you in something. I may also discover in those short little feedback meetings, hey, here's an area where I feel like maybe we need to be doing a little bit better. Or I want to challenge you to up the standard of what we're delivering on. Or, hey, I think we need to hit a different metric in this particular area of the business. But either way, regular feedback loop where we get an opportunity to provide support and challenge for the people that gives them, again, the best chance of staying on that growth trajectory.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Okay. We could keep riffing on this forever, I know, but
Forever.
transition into a couple stories where we have experienced this recently in our own lives. Do you want me to lead? Let me go
Okay.
first.
Yes, come on, let's do it.
So this recently played out in my own family because I have a 15-year-old and an almost 13-year-old, and we recently delegated doing the dishes to them. And what happened, well, now another distinction that we often make with our clients, Eric, is the difference between delegating and dumping. And I want to be clear that really I dumped the responsibility of doing the dishes on my kids.
And really quickly, describe what's the difference between delegating and dumping.
So I basically just said, you're doing the dishes. I skipped the step of casting a vision, like, hey, here's why I want you to do the dishes. Here's why I'm handing this off to you. Also, I never created those bumpers. I never did support and challenge. I never set clear expectations about what doing the dishes meant, what a clean kitchen looked like. And I never did that step of following up, providing that feedback loop. And so what happened? Well, in short succession, we had our sink clogged 2 times, which, as we already
It
pointed out,
sounds so familiar, and I'm sure it sounds familiar to a lot of our listeners.
So as we already pointed out, my husband is the jack of all trades. And so it's his job to then clear the sink, which then created a very grumpy Drew.
Yeah. He's like,
So-
why do we keep getting in this situation?
Yeah, this sucks. I don't enjoy clearing the sink. And also, why is this happening repeatedly? And so I did a little reflection and realized, oh, hey, I actually never did the step of training them, setting the expectations. So I had to backpedal. I had to go back and say, hey, here's what happens when we clean the kitchen. We make sure that all of the food is on the side of the sink that has the garbage disposal. Primary importance. We make sure when we load the dishwasher that we've loaded all of the dishes. And then we run the garbage disposal for no less than 30 seconds when we're done to make sure that we clear everything out and we're ready to go for the next time. And then, so I set those expectations, and then I had regular follow-ups. So every time they did the dishes for the next several weeks, I was like, hey, did you run the garbage disposal? Hey, let's go back and check and make sure. Let's see how the kitchen looks. Hey, you did a great job. Oh my gosh, thank you for remembering to run the garbage disposal, right? So I started calibrating those support and challenge. And lo and behold, we have not had a clogged sink since. Knock on wood.
That's amazing. It's such a great example, even though it's in your home life, but how this can easily be going on in the workplace, right? We hear all the time from leaders, about these struggles with different team members. And almost always one of the first things I try to understand is, have you as a leader taken the responsibility of being clear about expectations, helping them understand what it looks like to do something well? Did you give them some training? Are you providing a regular feedback loop? Or are you just waiting for something to go wrong before you go hammer them? Right. And so as a parent in that moment, you were practicing incredibly, what I would call, humble and mature leadership. the willingness to say, we didn't set them up for success. So how do we backfill this? How do we rewind the tape and say, you know what? It's not an option for them to be successful in this area. And therefore, as a leader, I'm going to own where I drop the ball.
Yes.
And I'm going to go back and provide the necessary clarity and pathway and do the work of partnering with them. And then to hear on the other side, as you were consistent and patient in that, to hear that, wow, they're starting to get it, they're understanding how to do this. That is the process of delegation, right? To the point where your kids will just know how to do this and you won't have to think about it anymore. Maybe remind them once in a while because we're human beings and we mess up. But what a gift now that you and Drew can entrust that responsibility to your kids, because what it does is it actually makes your children greater contributors to your household. It gives them greater value in the household, right? Like we're so afraid to ask our kids or even team members sometimes to do things that we have previously done for fear that we're going to put them out or we're going to make them feel like we're taking advantage of them. I'm like, no, I'm going to delegate things to you that actually increase your value to whatever system that you're a part of.
That's right.
Yeah, very, very, very powerful. I love that story. And I think most people can immediately apply the principles to any area of their life. That's fantastic. Well, I shared a little bit of one of my examples earlier as it relates to, the enjoyment I've had of training, investing in, and then delegating coaching responsibilities. I think coaches, which I've been doing for 15 plus years, and it still brings me an incredible amount of joy. But here's what I would say in working with clients. Interestingly enough, one of our core philosophies is we don't want our clients to be dependent on us forever. Like we want to train them, empower them with various tools, and partner them through support and challenge as they develop their skill set as leaders so that they become less and less dependent on us. And what, in this in particular story that I want to share is, I'm working with a CEO who's hired this incredibly talented executive team to support his efforts in running the company. And it's just an incredible team. And at some point, he begins to realize, wow, my executives are, really struggling leading their direct reports. And so as we were processing this, I said, why do you think that is? He said, I'm not really sure. So as we met with the other executives and said, hey guys, we know you're struggling to lead your direct reports, a bunch of directors really. And what's going on for you guys? And they were like, oh, we're not really sure what to do with them, because what we feel like is all they're ever bringing us is problems. And then, so now we're constantly putting out fires and dealing with all these headaches. And so then we're not able to do our jobs.
Yep.
And I said, oh, that's really interesting. Well, and I remember I did this intentionally. I asked this question in the meeting with the CEO and the executive. I said, well, why don't you just do with your teams what the CEO is doing with you guys? And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, how is it that your CEO provides this kind of partnership for you to ensure that you're able to be more successful? And how does he provide support and challenge for you? And how does he provide a short feedback loop? And so that you can constantly deal with things before they become bigger problems. And they just kind of looked at me like deer in the headlights. And I was like, oh. And the CEO literally took a pen, threw it at me from across an executive table, which is like 15 feet long, threw it across. He said, yeah, Eric, I got your point. And what he realized was he had hired such competent individuals that he felt like he very rarely had to check in with them, very rarely had to deal with any problems because they were all just really smart, capable, competent folks. I said, but here's what you need to understand is that as a leader in this company, you have to be modeling for people how it is to lead down chain. And so your executive teams do not have the same level of competence on their teams that you have on your team.
That's right.
And so therefore, how are you going to partner with them to model what are the expectations of how we meet with our teams, how we create short feedback loops, how we determine, what's working, what's not working. How do we provide the necessary support and challenge to give your team the best chance of winning? And he said, but that's Eric. I don't want to take up their time. Eric, I don't have time for that. I said, but here's the thing. If you want this to become a part of your culture, if you want to develop mental culture, which he had said he did, I said, then you've got to model this for your team and you've got to provide support and challenge for them so that they know how to do this for their teams. He did this. He started doing it, meeting with them on a regular basis every week for an hour. Didn't always take an hour, with the express intention of what's working, what's not working, where are you winning, where are you struggling, and where can I provide greater support and challenge? And what he discovered is, number one, his executive team was incredibly grateful for that short weekly touch point where they felt now for the first time, really seen, heard, and valued. They felt like, wow, we didn't realize we were looking for this kind of partnership from our leader. And secondly, it gave them a clear model for how they could now begin to partner with their team members, which then had a ripple effect all the way down through multiple levels in the company. It took some time. It took like 6 to 9 months for this kind of process to unfold. But to this day, that is still like rooted into the culture and the fabric of that organization, where people know how to partner the people on their teams because it's being modeled from the top down.
That's right. I love that. Okay, let's transition into some takeaways and maybe some application points for our listeners this week. If you are a leader and you are listening to this, delegation is something that you are dealing with on an ongoing basis. So what are some practical things they could be doing?
Yeah. Okay, let's make this really simple, because for all of our listeners, you can go back to season 1 and listen to our episode on the Empower Matrix, or we break it down a little more fully. You can grab our resources on our website. Our new book, Upgrade Your Leadership, should be out any minute now, which also has a deep dive into this tool, this mental framework of understanding how to partner people so that we can delegate. But real simple. Number one, as leaders, we can pause today, just something today, and evaluate our current load of tasks and responsibilities. And begin to ask the hard question: what of this do I need to delegate out? That starts with themselves. Then secondly, to look at those persons we have responsibility for that are on our team in any way, shape, and form, and to ask the question, where is there an opportunity for me to delegate something I'm currently doing to somebody else that would increase the value that they have to bring to this space? And then to commit ourselves to the process of partnering them through support and challenge with a short feedback loop, and to give those people a chance to take on to grow into, I should say, these new roles and responsibilities. Now, for most of our listeners, you've done this. You've already done this with your kids, with a friend, with another coworker. Like you've done this for other people already. You just didn't have the language for it, or people have done this for you. And so what I often find helpful when I'm trying to learn a new skill is to think of who's doing this or who has done this well that I know of, maybe for me, and where have I already kind of done this, and then to lean on those experiences to help shape and fill out this framework of support and challenge that we're talking about.
That's great advice. I really like that even if we haven't had this exact experience, we have other experiences that we can draw on as we start a new process. I think that's really helpful. And I just want to remind everyone that if you are a leader, leadership is not about doing everything yourself. I mean, that seems obvious, but so often leaders get caught in that trap of feeling like they have to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
So instead, I want you to think about this. Leadership is about multiplying your impact by building capable people around you.
I love it.
Who can partner with you in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. That's so good. I have so much more I want to say, but we're going to pause here. Thank you to our amazing listeners. We love having you. We love the opportunity to share our own journeys with you, what we've learned, and what we have found works time and time again with those leaders that we have the privilege of coaching and working with. Please check out our next episode where we'll be talking about stress and how it leaks into your leadership and what to do when it starts affecting the people around you. Because guess what? Stress leaks. So important to remember, whatever is going on internally, it's going to eventually leak outside. And that's what we want to talk more about.
We'll see you next time.